Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Waste Talk series. And you all know in this series, we talk about how to reduce waste, how to transform waste into something useful, and how to throw away waste when we actually have to throw it away. Today, with me, I have the innovative, resourceful, and truly inspiring Tanya. Tanya has taken the concept of one person trash is another person's treasure to completely different level, and she has created stunning home decors, incredible costumes. Her work has been published in various media for waste advocacy and inspiration. Hi, Tanya. Welcome to my channel. How are you doing today?
Hi, Vartiga. I'm so happy to be here. I'm doing really well. I just getting over Christmas vacation, so vacay brain. But I'm here to can't wait to talk about the circular economy and waste and all this fun stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. And I have seen some of your previous items. Can you show us some examples and tell us about the journey of the components of those items that you have used in your items?
Sure. So behind me, all these costumes here are made from scratch, and they're mostly all post-consumer items. So things that are found in secondhand stores or just going through my own stuff and repurposing them for different uses, kind of elevating things from waste material, from used material, post-consumer materials, and then a lot of crafting. So a little bit of skill going into it as well. So.
So can you show us a specific example you have? And
Sure.
yeah,
So this lady here, which is from
wow.
Star Wars, Tusken Raider, was one of the first costumes that
Yes,
I
that
started
looks
making.
astonishing, by the way. Yeah.
It's so comfortable. So that's the other thing. So all of this is made with sheets, blankets that were at the Goodwill,
Wow.
and they're as close to screen accurate as I possibly could get. They're cotton. There's really good materials that are in it. I always look for natural materials and fibers, and when I can't find them, I try to elevate things that maybe not so great to a higher standard, so they're not getting thrown away right away. So
Mhm.
this costume was made 5 years ago and still, I mean, I can wear it all the time. It's durable. So I make it like I would make clothes. And that way, there's a special value when you create something and you're sewing, your hand sewing, or you're putting time and effort into it, and you want to think about its end life. So once this costume starts to degrade, because this is all compostable 3D print material, once this starts to degrade, I have a whole outfit underneath here that can be turned into another costume eventually. So this will just keep outlasting itself. This is an old yoga mat that was turned into a purse. So it's a
Wow.
fully
Okay.
functional purse. So so we do that too. So stuff like that. This is all clay and things like that. So a little bit of skill, a little bit of sewing goes into it.
So from
Um,
everywhere, from Goodwills, yoga mat.
yeah, making the patterns. So like even coming up with a pattern is a whole journey in sustainability. So do I buy patterns? Do I go out and look for patterns? Do I break it down and make the pattern myself? What kind of paper am I using? Am I going to keep that pattern for a long time? How am I going to store things? How am I going to store the leftovers that didn't get used? What am I going to use those for? So scraps don't go into the garbage. They get used, they continuously get smaller and smaller uses. So there's this story about a long time ago, it really affected me as a kid, where a grandfather made a blanket for his grandson and then eventually gets turned into a waistcoat, gets turned into a vest and becomes a button. And then the button gets lost. And of course, there's a story that comes out of this blanket. So like this just this use of things until it is no longer available, but still giving us value. So we're storytelling. It's probably why my Instagram is called the Story Builder Workshop, because
Yeah.
it's just about taking things and elevating them, but not just for the sake of art and creating, but for value, for like I do charities. So I go dressed up in charities. And so that gives another value, another part of the story to the object. So it was a sheet. It's been dyed with tea and coffee. It's as natural and as close to, the best that I can give it for another life, for a second life. And it's the same with this costume here, which is all post-consumer material, but it's quality material.
Mhm.
And that's where like having a vocabulary in what you're using is important. So understanding what cotton looks like and feels like, what wool and natural fibers, linen feel like, and then making that decision on whether or not you're going to use it in a costume within the next year. You don't want to have a whole lot of stuff, burying you. So you want to, when you see an opportunity to get something that is really high value, really high quality, but has been discarded,
Yeah.
you can bring it to you and do something with it. So, I mean, I take apart everything. So in my house, nothing goes to the eco station, to the waste, or to like the secondhand store unless I have completely taken it apart. So there's parts on this that are from my first vacuum cleaner here that I took apart. So there's parts on that are vacuum cleaner parts. This right, these are I guess they're food rations for Jedis in the movies, right? It's a pen top. And I mean, that's all that was used in the movies in the 70s. They were trying to create with a low budget. And so when you got a close eye and you can recreate these things, I mean, it's fun. You look for the value in everything from a pen top to, I mean, I even keep it in glass jars to show that, it has value. These are all like spools from sewing. This is, toothpaste caps and I don't know, bits and pieces of things that I can't create myself. That I wouldn't know where to start if I wanted to make a cylinder, a plastic, cylinder. But this comes in handy in a lot of, what I do, all these little bits and pieces. So
Yeah, you can use these material in any of your creation, right?
yeah, for sure. And when you surround yourself with these sort of things, so like a computer keyboard
Mhm.
is, in here for the most part. And then, like it reduces the amount that I do have to get rid of because it was a broken keyboard. It was no good. But, there are things about it that are good. The durability of
Awesome.
those keys, the
Yeah.
interest of those keys, the shape, they have lettering on them, right? So that's also useful. So you just kind of look at things and start breaking them down into this little tiny pieces and then trying to figure out if those pieces have value in your space. If they don't, then there are other artists out there who would find those valuable. You bring them to the reuse center, or you can make little jars like this and then put them on Kijiji, and you can sell those, and then you have a little bit of money from that, something like that. So, I mean, again, we're talking circular economy. There's a little side hustle. Take things apart and sell it to artists.
So I can already see that you can really use anything into your whatever artwork you create. So I was going to ask the first one you created 5 years back. I was going to ask where do you wear it, but you already answered that question. You go to events and wear them all the time. So
Yeah.
you create these for other people as well, or just for
I
yourself?
do. Yeah, I do. So this one, and this is the thing about supporting a local artist. So that's circular economy, that like reusing things around you, to keeping things kind of local and supporting other jobs, supporting a local artist in your community for making like costumes, Halloween costumes, things that you can pass on because the quality is very high is a really great idea. And also when those things break, need fixing or adjusting,
Mhm.
bring it to that local artist. It creates this cycle of importance, and there's a place for that, and there's money to be made from that. So you have like, that it's a really good thing. So this is a part of a costume that was made for a gentleman. So this is part of the headpiece. And I
Uh-huh.
said it was going to be lots of show and tell. But so he brought this back because there were some parts that needed to be fixed after being worn, so it gets worn, and it's a whole costume. And it's all made from mostly from old teddy bear stuff and pillows. So, like memory foam pillows. It's all it's nice and light and he could wear that. So, I mean, I make costumes for others. My my biggest caveat to it is that a costume can take up to a year to make because the resourcing of the product is really, really important to me. So finding the right materials, building up sort of a document of all the materials that I have. So I do try to keep it organized so reusing old calendars and old books. I'll keep an inventory of the materials that I have. And then I can see like what I need, and I'm not overbuying. I'm not filling my house up with a bunch of stuff I'm not going to use. And I won't lie, I do have a
You
corner
create,
that's
yeah,
bad.
you work on multiple items at the same time because it
Yeah,
takes time,
it
right?
takes a long time. But then when that time comes and the costume is created, it has longevity. It has purpose, it has some value, and it has sometimes for the owner some sentimental value. I've also created a community. I've also collaborated with, other artists or the person who's buying the costume. I'm learning because maybe I'm taking on different skills that I haven't done before. So tinting and doing some electronics in this helmet and costume. I went looking for tint and I thought, well, I'm not going to buy a whole roll of tint. That's crazy. I need a piece this big. That's garbage that's waste to some companies that do tinting. So I just drove to a tinting company and said, "Hey, can I have your scraps?" And so, it's what if that was something that was a demand, right? Then that person who gave me the scraps could think to themselves, hey, what if I packaged my scraps? What if I sold those scraps in a secondary kind of way? So unless we sort of engage in our community in that way, we're going to miss out on opportunities to use up some of these things that would otherwise find themselves in a waste area, right? So, and art installations, because art installations is also part of what I do, public art installations, is the disassembling of things. So that costume has a bike helmet inside it. And so I use old bike helmets. When I'm done with a costume and I'm done with, or an installation, I remove the parts. So some of the foam that was on this for this art installation was actually in that mask. So that pillow foam gets reused, reused, reused until I can no longer find it. So I have a great story about it though. So reusing is really important, but so is like the end life. So even before I start designing a costume, I want to think about where's it going to go next. Underneath this costume is a gorgeous black suit made with a linen blend that I found at a Goodwill in a roll and just stuffed into a corner. And it is so soft, it is so comfortable that I can't wait when this is done. I have those for pajamas. So, so everything sort of will break itself down. Some of the structures, the internal structures of my installation arts are made with PVC piping because I can take it apart. I can screw it together to make it more sturdy. It can be used, this has been reused and reused and reused. I think this has been in 3 pretty big art projects now. So, and it keeps getting smaller and different but still important. And eventually it'll probably end up in a jar to make smaller parts for things, right? So
Yeah, so you are talking already about a lot of things, value in your items, material literacy. You need to know what material you are working with and durability. Let's talk more about durability. We are told that we can just throw away items and we throw items in landfills, right? And I can remember a quote, there is no such thing as away. When we throw something away, it must go somewhere,
right.
right? And these items in landfills stay there forever because of durability. And you have already talked a lot about durability. What else? What is your perspective on this?
So it's elevating things. So it is elevating things. I'm going to make a mess right in front of me. So the idea is when you are, I mean, art's not going to solve, it's not going to solve the problem. It's at the, it's when we are going out to buy things and to look at things and to think about what happens to them after we are done with them and whether or not I make that purchase because of the end result, right? And so when I think about elevating something, I think about things that are really important to me. So I garden, so my seeds. So all the seeds that I have, I keep. I love candy, so I'm always buying candy, but I buy them in metal tins so
Mhm.
that I can keep my seed supplies nice and organized. And if I want to do seed swaps or whatever, they work really great. So you're kind of thinking about the durability of things to elevate them so they're connected to something that you value. And hopefully you will keep those things and you will share those things as valuable things. And so it's only really waste, and it only really belongs in waste if it has no value to you. So I mean, I find value in all these little things, but there's also people out there who will find value in things that you don't find value in. So using places like the reuse center, like there's the Hodgepodge Lodge and a couple of other areas. Think of your community, and that's where community matters. And that's where having collaborations and connections with people in the community, especially your local artists, your local makers, your teachers that make supplies with arts with kids, and centers like the Reuse Center are super important because we can like lengthen that journey, right? It's a roadmap. And if we
A
can like,
centralized place to keep everything to donate. So one
yeah,
person is taking there, another person is getting from there and using it in something,
yeah,
right?
thinking of
These,
others. Yeah, we're
uh,
thinking of the needs of others. That also opens up an economic space for an artist to be creative, to actually try and practice. Like I'm learning. This is, I've only been doing this for 5 years, so I'm still learning. I'm still learning how not to become overwhelmed with the things that I take apart and the things that I store, and seeing possibility in everything, which you will do once you start looking really close. Like there's like a ton of like little pieces of plastic in this little thing. It's just, a little thing, but once I glue it onto the back of a glove, it becomes a communicator for a Star Wars costume. Okay, so like there's a lot of garbage and plastic that would be, normally going somewhere. It's not going to save the world, but it's going to last probably another good 5 to 10 years of
it's
use.
amazing to you to see these, use these things that we think like
Yes.
cannot be anyway, and you are using in such a creative way.
It's a problem, but it's a good problem to have when you start to see like potential in all things to become something more. And also, if you are an artist out there, make statements. Like create things to make a statement and show there's value in opinion, right? So let's make a statement on like what we can do with these things and how far we can push um, what's acceptable, like to use things, right? So I'll show you this. This is like fabric samples. I love getting fabric samples from like local fabric companies, and they have these like grommets in them. So you sit there taking out like hundreds of grommets out of these things. And then so I thought, what am I going to do with all these grommets? Okay, well, I'm going to make a necklace out of these grommets. So, I start building necklaces out of grommets. It can take you into directions that you never plan to go on, but they're really fun to explore.
Yeah. So you are kind of talking about value, value, a product doesn't have an inherent value. You kind of give it a value. We collectively agree that this thing has a value. Diamond or expensive food in a restaurant, I have seen $100,000 food people eating, just because we agree that it is
We
worth
agree.
100.
Yeah.
So how, and you are injecting value in these waste items by your creativity. You are making them valuable,
Right. And
right?
it's not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody. Someone's going to look at my beautiful grommet necklace it's not done yet, but and they're going to say
Are
that's,
you sell
oh
these?
yeah. Yeah, I can sell them. I generally end up giving stuff away
Okay.
because for me that it's a journey. I'm really fortunate that I have the ability to like play because
Mhm.
a lot of art is just play.
So, Tanya, you mentioned that you have started this 5 years ago. What
Yeah.
brought you into this? And you are really creative. I can't think of these ideas. So, what is that process?
So I love going to the Edmonton Expo. So I love comic books and I love sci-fi and fantasy stuff. I used to play D&D for many, many years since I was a kid. And I saw these guys dressed up as stormtroopers, and they were walking around with the 501st. And I read something about like the work that they do for charities, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. These people make their own costumes, and they come out, and it's a community, and so it's a community built around this costuming and this doing good, right? So. That's what hooked me, and then they have a list of really really detailed how to create these costumes and guidelines to which they need to fit in so the screen accuracy is there. And I thought that's a great challenge. Like I can do this and I can do this really cheap. So like so like I made this costume. I think it was probably I would have to say it's probably about $60. And I was approved and it and I was so elated that from then I could not stop. And
Yeah.
then the challenge became how do I do it? But how do I do it like they did when they made Star Wars? How do I do it with that no budget in mind and taking from my environment and creating something that's familiar but that's new.
And your work has been displayed at various places for waste advocacy. I have seen in the social media as well. Tell us about that. How did that happen?
Oh. There was Skirts of Fire that they put on a show here in Edmonton every year. So it's women advocating for women in the arts. That was a really great program. So I was a designer there for a little while, for a couple of years in a row. And we made, we had a theme, and then we had to use some of the disposable things. I'm holding, this is it's an underbust corset made out
Yeah,
of
that
cotton.
is the thing I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah.
Yes.
So it was a statement on using these cultural materials and things that were found and how we could. It's fun to wear. It's actually really wearable, and so it challenges you. So in a place when you don't have a lot, so you've got really kind of restricted materials, and it challenges your brain to be very creative and to think really hard about what you're going to make, how you're going to present it, and that to me was really fun. So yeah, those kind of installations where it's wearable art or in public art is a really great opportunity to show people and then to talk with people about like what you do and how you do and to share with them programs and resources that you found or are involved with.
And when people see your artwork, they get inspired too, right? They want to create these items. This is so impressive to see that you don't buy any new item. Even
I
if you need something,
I
you
try
find
not to. Yeah, I try not to. Most of the stuff that I get that's new is the notions, so threads. But honestly, I will take apart every piece of, clothing or something that if it's broken or not fixed or belts, zippers, buttons, I remove belt buckles, everything. I keep them stocked up because they are useful. They're
So,
still useful.
yeah, you are already showing some items that you have collected to use in your artwork. You must have a good library, a lot of item in your house. Uh,
Yes, so
for
being
the
organized is important.
yeah,
Being
mhm,
organized is important. You can't keep everything.
yeah,
You can't keep everything, but trying to source your waste. So you go through, you separate things, you cut things, I take off Velcro, I remove clips, I take out elastics, remove buttons, like I say, take the keyboard keys off and the bottle tops. The thing about bottle tops is they're so small that, they usually miss getting recycled. And so bottle tops are one of those things and caps that I collect up a lot. And then there's just some things, like I say, you can't keep. So
yeah.
you
And
organize.
yeah, and whatever you can keep, you think you will be using, you can keep it, but rest of it you can always give to reuse center and other
Yeah.
places where other people can get from there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So,
Exactly. You might think you need that, or you might think you want it, and you bring it into your home, or you have it and you don't throw it away. And then if you haven't used it within the year, chances are you're probably not going to use it, but you can collect them so they're same. So you have same. So this is 2.5 keyboards of stuff. Same. So when I have enough of same, I have an abundance of same. And so when I have an abundance of same, I can apply it to something. It's really hard to work with 2 or 3 things, but when you have like 100 things, sometimes there's a bigger idea and easier decision making that happens in that process. So I like to
I
have
can
the
see
same
that.
together.
Yeah, so now I can see why Reuse Center takes the milk jug lids, right? That's
Yeah,
their one of the acceptable item, and
yeah,
these kind of items they take there.
yeah, yeah. It's handy to have the list on your fridge.
Yes, that's a good
So when
idea.
you do that, you'll take a day and you go through and you start, organizing your stuff so it doesn't get out of control, and then you can see what goes where and yeah.
So, what do you think is the future of upcycling, like in the form of art or design principle? Someone watching this, what they can take away from this talk?
So art's not going to fix it.
You
Sadly.
already said that, but we can still do
but
something.
it's a fun way to participate in it, right? So we're participating in it. So I was thinking
More
about
and
that.
more people participate, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is really important to participate. You'll build community. You really will. You'll make friendships, and you will test yourself in ways that are, will challenge yourself in ways that you can be really proud of. But one of the things that I had thought of was, yeah, how can we make a difference as artists and designers and people at home? And what I built was a letter. So I have like a sort of just a general letter, and I send it to companies, and you can find the address of companies on the back of their products. I like sending it in the mail. I don't, it's great to email. I love sending it in the mail. There's something about mail. And it's addressed to the sustainability and product design team. And it asks them, it pleads with them. I am pleading with you, with your design team, to rethink your packaging through the lens of upcyclability by design. Instead of creating waste, your containers could be engineered to have functional second life in the hands of consumers. And then I just go on to talk about innovative ideas like educational stamp caps. Why don't your caps have letters, numbers, symbols that could be used in teaching and learning? And why can't they have a secondary life? Why? Because they're so small. Caps are my thing. Right now, I'm so obsessed with like bottle caps and toothpaste caps and whatever. I feel like they need to have a second life. There should be something more there to that, because I feel like they're not going away anytime soon for
Have
art.
you
But
heard back from someone?
I get coupons.
Okay.
I get coupons. So like I had a year's worth of Lever dish soap, and
We
so
at least get something. We respond you, right?
yeah, Campbell's, yeah, like discounts for soup and yeah, two for ones, and for participating, I guess, in that experience. But I mean, it's a part of the demands. We can make these demands, and we can make change with our wallets. Money is why they're here. So money is what we give. So we can choose to hold that back and to ask for change if we want that change. I mean, people have the power, right?
That's right. So we are almost end of the talk. Tell me, if someone is watching this and they have not created anything, just for example, I have not done this kind of upcycling. What is the easiest item I can start with?
You could start by going to like a Goodwill, buying a sheet,
Okay.
or like a big large piece of fabric. Look through
I
their
have my own fabric. Yeah, I can do
look
with
through
that.
their pattern section, because these patterns are cheap, they're very old, they're vintage, but the thing about vintage patterns are they're square, they're very simple, they're very basic. And
Mhm.
so like starting off sewing, you can like start sewing, start either hand sewing. Sewing machines have come down in price. They're very economically, they're affordable. Can do is you can mend your own clothes. You can redesign your own clothes. This is a starting point. And I mean, I thought my vehicle was the best thing ever invented. I love to drive. I love driving any vehicle, but my vehicle was the best thing. Now my sewing machine is the best thing I've ever purchased. It makes everything so much easier. I use it in my creative life. I use it in my home life. So I want to make this year, I would like to make 50% of all my clothes myself. So I have a goal for that. So if you want to start something, start by sewing, learning to sew, learning fabric, and going out and just, yeah, picking up a big sheet and practicing. I mean, it's a sheet, right? It can be rags if it doesn't work out, but it just gives you an opportunity to play.
Yeah, that was awesome to see. Thank you so much for taking time today and inspiring us, inspiring the audience. And you just have told us that true innovation starts with constraints, with waste. We can just use anything in the artwork and can create so many new things.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for the nice things you said too. That's wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that.
This is wonderful, and I have the privilege. Maybe I would love to see your place sometime and
Oh,
see,
definitely.
what all you have there, and maybe inspired more, and we can bring something more for our audience.
Absolutely. I have a big workshop. I invite anybody who would like to do some fun upcycling stuff to like get in touch, get involved.
And thank you everyone for watching. Tell us in the comment section what is one item that you can create from the waste. And we will come back. Bye bye.
Bye.